Okay, so in this video, we're going to go over 7 different examples of import relationship. And we're going to start out in the samples model, SysML V2 Language Overview. So in this model, we have a multitude of different examples, but the one that we want to look at is going to be import modeling. So if we open this model and we go to the index, then we will see all of these different modules that we could look at. Each is in their own namespace. And we're going to take a look at import modeling. Okay, so there's 3 different types of imports that you need to know about. Public, which is the default import, and this means that it's anything that you import is visible outside the namespace, so you can reuse it in other places. Private membership means that things that you import are going to be hidden if you do another import from another place. You won't be able to import those private members. And then protected works the same way as private except for an inheritance. So if you are inheriting something, um, for instance, maybe battery, maybe it has some owned members. If we were to import, this um, as protected, then anything that we inherit from this we would still be able to see those own members. Okay, so in this example, some things to point out are all the examples show these packages, and they show like maybe imported member or own member, but they're not shown all the way down. Like for instance, in this own members for drone parts, it's telling you whether the properties are public, protected, or private. So we may need to come back up to reference that as we go down. And there are some that are better understood by taking a look at the textual editor as well. So we'll need to do a little bit of both to really fully understand the full implications of these imports and make sense of them. Okay, so let's go down and let's go to this first example here. So we just have a membership import, and actually I'll zoom back up here so that we can utilize this. So this is our relationship here. We have a public import, and we have all of these owned members, but this public import it's looking at drone parts, and it has it doesn't have any asterisks behind it. So all we're going to get is drone parts. So if we look over here, we see that the member that was imported was just drone parts. That's how this first membership import works. Next is called a namespace import. So in this case, we have drone parts, and it has 3 owned members. And if we look back up here, we can see one of them, battery, is public, one's protected, and one is private. So since we are doing an import, we're only going to see battery, and we see that answer right here. Okay, the next step is 2 asterisks, and this is called a recursive membership import. So we're pointing to drone parts, and we are going to be able to get the elements inside of it all the way down to its own members. So we'll get battery and voltage. We won't get capacity and weight because these are protected and private. What about body and motor? They're not listed over here. If we go back up here, we'll see that body and motor are again protected and or private. Okay, so in this case, we imported drone parts package, the battery package, and its own member voltage. In this example, this looks the same, but it's not quite the same. What we're doing is 2 imports in one. So a namespace import further suffixed by a recursive import. And here is an example of where we need to look at this. So we can see we're pointing to drone parts, then we do that namespace import, and then on top of that, we do a recursive import. So what does this do? Well, we take drone parts and we get the name, we do the namespace import. So the namespace import just means that it gets these top level um, members. So in that case, we get battery. And then um, we are going to do a recursive import, and now we're looking at just battery. And so we recursively import voltage because capacity and weight are protected in private. So again, because of the fact that this is 2-in-1, this import, the recursive portion of it, only sees the imported members from the last import here. So when you stack these on top of each other, it doesn't start over, it just goes from what you've already imported. And since all we had imported was battery, then we apply that recursive import here and get voltage. Okay, a new concept called import all. So when you do this, you get everything, no matter its visibility. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So when we import all, this is a namespace import, which means we skip the package and we just get all the own members, regardless of its visibility. And then finally, we're going to see what happens when we do this private import. So we need to start all the way from the right in this case. So this is a private import of camera sensing to this flight control navigation. And we can see it doesn't matter what we inherit because this import will not see any of these because of its nature of being private. So right here, we can then see that this is a namespace import, which means we skip the package and we just go to the own members. So flight controller and GPS module, and that's what's imported. This is an example of the same thing, but if we used a public import instead, and we can see with the public import, this import over here will be able to see these members. So we should get transmitter, antenna, receiver, camera, sensor, and gimbals. And that is in fact what we get. So I hope this was a good review for you. I hope you now understand imports. Let me know if there in the comments if there are any additional questions or things that you want to know about this concept.